Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be looking at the Defiance Matilda. Now this is one of two Dunkirk themed hero tanks that we've received. There's this one, and I probably should have put these on the favourites, but I didn't. There is also the Vindicator Charioteer, which I will be looking at hopefully tomorrow. Now this video didn't go up yesterday because, well, they went into my garage. Later on in the afternoon it didn't quite leave me enough time, and the reason I'm doing the Defiance Matilda first is because basically it's a Matilda. So I know the tank, I can just jump in it, have the games, and get the footage that I need to do this review for you and form an opinion. And with the Vindicator, I've only just unlocked the Charioteer, the Tech Tree one myself, so I am kind of still figuring that out a little bit, and hope to have got that one up today, but it's just taking a bit more figuring out than I thought. But I've got the handle of it, got the hang of it now, so that one will be going up tomorrow. So, Defiance Matilda. It's a tier 5 Matilda. Yep, that's pretty much it. There are a couple of slight differences, but that is essentially it. It gets a bigger engine, and it gets 1 degree more hull traverse. Woohoo! And it also gets a slightly bigger radio range to account for it being a tier 5. Now it does get preferential matchmaking, so what that basically means is whereas the Matilda, which is a tier 4, is pretty good when it's top tier, you know, in a tier 4 match, very tough. The gun, even though it's very low damage at 55, it can, you know, it can basically just DPM everything while withstanding the hits. And then in tier 5 it's kind of average and mediocre a little bit. The speed can become more of an issue in tier 5, and your armor obviously isn't as good, and tier 5s have more health. It takes a lot more shots to kill them with 55 damage. And tier 6, it's well, you've got to work very hard in a Matilda in tier 6 matches. So with this you're already kind of at a disadvantage because you're already having to work that bit harder, because it will never get into tier 4, only tier 5 or 6 matches. So, I don't know, I kind of think it should have been left at tier 4 with standard matchmaking. Maybe even have given it the bigger engine as well, just to make it something that a bit different. But yeah, you've got to, from the get-go, you've got to work a bit harder in this because it's tier 5 Matilda. Now, I know the Matilda 4 is, and I said that kind of works at tier 5, but that's because it's got a higher damage gun. Lower rate of fire, but you've got a bit more bang for your buck when you do hit. With this, you've really got to keep that gun singing and keep that DPM going. So I'll try and spend as little time on this as possible. I know I've already spent a couple of minutes already, but there you go. So, you do get a bigger engine, 274, which is the same size as the Matilda 4, the Russian tier 5 premium. Apart from that, it's basically the same gun, quickfire 2-pounder Mark 2B of the standard Matilda. Same rate of fire, 28.57, same pen, 121, same damage, 55, same on your premium rounds, 145 and 55. Same aiming time at 1.9, same accuracy at 0.36. You do get 1 degree extra hull traverse though, at 37 as opposed to 36. And turret traverse is the same at 34, view range is the same at 340, but your radio range is bigger at 570 as opposed to 400. Other than that, that's it. So this is, like I say, a Matilda. You know what you're going to be. Well, most people will know what they're getting with this. A lot of people have been through the Matilda. Very, very cheap ammunition for your standard at 40 silver. No, a bit more expensive for your APCR though at 1,600. I do carry 22. I don't think I've ever used them. Equipment wise, I've gone for, well, I could have put a gun rammer on it, but it's got such a great rate of fire anyway. I just felt that coated optics might suit it better and help it to at least spot whatever's going to be shooting at you. And I've gone for the gun laying drive, just because the aiming time's so good anyway, but it does just help. And I went for vents just to give everything a bit of a boost. But yeah, you could take the optics off and put a gun rammer on to improve your rate of fire even more. You could take the vents off instead, leave the coated optics and put a gun rammer on, or so, you know, whatever. But that's just what I've gone for. Now, crew-wise, well, this is just a crew from my Conqueror and British Bulldog. I wouldn't bother with the safe stowage, but definitely track mechanic and repairs would probably be good on this. Also, clutch braking, which I've got on there, and 6th sense, obviously. Smooth ride, it's already quite good at firing on the move because it's slow. So yeah, you know, there's some skills to possibly think on. A lot of people who get this will probably already have a crew from another tank that they're going to stick it in anyway. But yeah, I mean, I've covered obviously the Matilda, so you know, you've seen. I've got the Matilda review. I'm sure I have. I've done that one, so it's pretty much the same sort of skill list as on that, to be honest. But like I say, you are having to work that bit harder already. Now, bonuses. Let's have a look. Bonuses, you get a 49% silver bonus and a 45% XP bonus, so it doesn't make a bad crew trainer. It does have a hefty price tag though. Its listed price is 2,300, and I think the cheapest you can get it for is about 2,600 or 2,700 and something. So yeah, it is very pricey for a Matilda. I mean, considering the Matilda 4 is 1,500 gold, the Matilda Black Prince I think is at 1,500 or 1,750. I know this has got the perma camo on it, so you cannot put camo on this, by the way. But yeah, it is quite pricey for a tier 5 Matilda. Engine-wise, with that 274 engine, it does get you a better power-to-weight ratio. The Matilda's is just over 7. This is 10.91. Still going to win. Still not going to win any speed records though. Forward top speed 25, same as the standard one, I think. Oh, that might be 24. Reverse is the same at 10, and also fire chance 15, the same. The engine takes up the back of the tank from the back of the turret roughly to about halfway down the angled upper rear glacis. Gun-wise, you still do get that fantastic gun depression in the Matilda at minus 10 degrees and 20 degrees of elevation, which is quite workable. Concealment is higher though on this because of the perma camo, 0.29 and 0.23. That's stationary and moving respectively. Tracks now, something else. You also, as well as the extra degree of hull traverse, the terrain resistance is slightly different, even though they are marked as the same tracks. You get slightly better on your first one, which is like your hard ground, you know, your roads, etc., at 0.8, whereas it's 0.9 on the standard Matilda. But then your other two are slightly worse at 1.22 instead of 1.2 for the normal Matilda, and 2.3 instead of 2.1. So a bit odd. Turret on top, and something else worth mentioning as well while I'm on about this, the commander's cupola is a lot bigger on this than it is on the standard Matilda. Again, quite odd. I think they're marked as the same turret, but for some reason this has a very big commander's cupola. Radios in the back of the turret. Ammo blocks, two quite small ones to be honest, roughly under the centre of the turret. Well, if you look in between those second two gaps in the tracks, that'll hit one of them, and then on the other side you're looking towards the back of the second gap in the track armour, and a little bit into the third one as well there. Crew members, you've got three crammed into a very, very tight turret, and then you've got your driver down in the centre of the hull. Now, armour-wise, same as a standard Matilda, so you're looking at 75 all round on your turret. Your hull armour is 75 on the front, 70 on the sides, and 55 on the rear, so it's still quite tough. But again, that armour doesn't stand up as well in a tier 5 as it does in a tier 4 match. Now, unlike the Matilda 4, the front of the Matilda, the actual hit zones are very different to what it looks like. If you can see there, it's a very pointed front, whereas on the model it's not. So where the lights are on either side, just inside the tracks, you can see a couple of weld lines. Basically, between the tracks and those weld lines are a no hit zone, as you can see here on the damage model. Now, your armour thing, sort of armour bands, if you will, it's all the same as a normal Matilda. You know, that's what it is. It's a Matilda with a bigger engine. So 120 is the engine deck, top of the turret, top of the commander's hatch, the hull floor, the tracks as well as, is that the, no, or is it? It does have some slight, almost like track covers on it. I think they do fall into that bracket as well. Oh no, the 21 to 31, there you go. That's the track covers, 21 to 30. 31 to 50 is your sloped upper and lower glacis, and the sides of the tank behind the tracks, but don't forget you've got the tracks to get through and that extra track armour on the side, so it does all add up. 51 to 70 is your upper sides, your rear lower glacis, and the angle bits on the front there. Not quite sure what you call those, but basically the side of the nose, if you will. And there's also bits just inside the turret behind where the Matilda 4 has a solid gun mantle. This one is a little bit different, and I would probably call it a mantleless one. And then 71 to 90 are the flat parts on the front of the hull, and basically the whole turret, apart from those bits just around the gun mantle, including the commander's hatch, which is as tough as the rest of the turret. So if you are struggling to get through one of these from the front, you've got that small square there, which is a bit, I think it's a driver's viewport possibly, and you've also got those slightly thinner bits just above and below the gun mantle. That's obviously if you just can't get through one of these from the front, but generally anything that comes up against these in tier 5 and 6 don't struggle too much. So you really have, like I say, you've got to really work hard in this. You've got to angle it well, and like I say, anybody who's been through the tech tree Matilda is going to know what you're getting with this. It's not one that I'm going to be picking up myself. I think the price is too high for it personally, and I also think it probably should have stayed at tier 4 and just given it the bigger engine just to make it that little bit special and charged a bit less for it. So, you know, I can't say that it's a bad tank because the Matilda isn't a bad tank, but it does have its issues, and I don't think it makes a very good premium tank, if you get my meaning. But I don't know. It's a tricky one anyway. You know, it's up to you at the end of the day. But I do feel that the price is too high on this one. But let's get into the replays and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the first of the replays. It's a tier 5 match, and I have to say that most of the matches I've been in this have been tier 5. I've not been in many tier 6s, and I mean the next one, the next replay I've got for you is a tier 6 match, but I don't seem to have been in many tier 6s. It's been mostly tier 5s, but like I said before in the garage review, that does mean that you have to work that much harder in the Matilda, because the armour just, well, it just doesn't quite stand up as well as it does in a tier 4 match. However, that is kind of counteracted by your very fast aim time, your not bad accuracy, and your very high rate of fire. But the downside is that you only do around 55 damage per shot. So even though with 121 penetration, you know, which isn't too bad. I mean, what does the M4 Sherman get on its M1A1? About 128, I think. So, you know, it's not too savage pen-wise, but that 55 damage is just a killer. You've really got to put a lot of shots in to take down a tank and to actually, you know, build up a decent amount of damage. But that's obviously the same with the normal Matilda in a tier 5 match, and I know I keep saying that, but like I say, you know, you kind of know what you're getting with this, a slightly quicker Matilda. But it's on Kane? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this map, the new map anyway. So I've come up onto the central ridge, even though it said bridge in the original release of this. I think that was a typo. But I've come up onto here. It's not an overly big map, you know, so from here you can kind of see down into the valley, and you really want to try and get up here as fast as you can. And it's just a good thing that we've got up here before the enemy team have. But you can see that DPM at this sort of range against some of the tier 5s, that KV1 I would imagine is pretty much stock. He won't have a very high damage gun if he's bouncing off here. But the other advantage of it is that with it having that small turret and the good gun depression, you can just sort of pop up and over ridge lines and expose very little of your tank. And again, like I said in the garage, for those of you that have sort of skipped that garage bit, you know, it's not a bad tank, because the Matilda isn't a bad tank, and that is what you've got here. You've got a Matilda with a bigger engine, an extra degree of hull traverse, and a bigger radio range. But that's it. But it does, like I say, it is a tier 5, and that's kind of my issue. I don't think it should have been a tier 5. I think it should have been a tier 4. Maybe giving it the bigger engine just to make it a bit different and a bit more special. And charged a bit less for it, and given it obviously standard matchmaking as well, so it's still sort of to, you know, tier 6. But yeah, I don't, like I say, but it's not a bad tank. I just don't think it's a good premium. Again, it's I think I said that about another tank recently. I can't even think what it was now. But as you can see in this match, you know, I'm really putting the rounds in. I've got myself in a fairly good position. RT is coming in a little bit. There's some guys off on my right covering that top end of the map, and I'm actually just, oh no, they had come out into the sort of onto the enemy's side of the field there. But the heavy has just been taken down, unfortunately. Now this is where the enemy team make a push up this central ridge. They've actually got up and on here, and this is where it's probably going to get a little bit hairy, I think. Oh, took a shot from something over that way. It bounced though, luckily. Now I'm starting to get a bit... Yeah, I'm taking a couple of hits from over in that direction. Low damage though, I'm not sure what it is. But like I said before, you know, anybody who's been through the Matilda is going to know what you're in for here. You've got to keep this gun going to actually get that damage done on anything. You know, in a tier 4 match it's not so bad because a lot of the tier 4s don't have a great deal of health. Oh, I think this does have a bit more health than a normal Matilda as well. I did forget about that actually. So yeah, it does have a few more hit points than a normal Matilda. I think probably to account for it being a tier 5 rather than a tier 4. Now, Commander's been taken down, Churchill 1. I am kind of getting surrounded here and really possibly could do with backing off a little bit, but yeah, I don't. I don't know why. I just think, do you know what, I'm going to try and out DPM these guys. If I can take them on one at a time, I can get a lot of shots in between theirs. So we'll see how it goes. Now, I do realise that in both of these replays, I don't do badly in the Matilda and sort of make it. I don't know whether I make it. I don't want to blow my own horn, sort of thing. I don't know if I make it look better than it is or whatever, you know. But I have included at the end some of the other games I've had in it, which not as productive as these ones have been, as you will see. I've sort of been a little bit more average of some of my experiences in it. These were two of the better and more entertaining ones. But I came out to that one with 1,400, or well, 1,484 of my own damage done with 27 penning hits. I can't think of many other tanks that you can do 27 penning hits and only come out with 1,400 damage. But I got a Confederate as well, so I was quite happy about that. And came top of the table. And in fact, the guys that were left set up a defence around our own cap. And the enemy team, it took them a while, but the enemy team did come over to try and cap, and they took them out. So well done to them. They basically won the game. But yeah, it's, like I say, it's an odd one, this one. Because of it just being like I say, just a Matilda. I don't know. It is an odd one. It's not a bad tank. I like the Matilda. I've still got my Tech Tree one in my garage. I know I've said it before, and I'm going to repeat myself again. It's just not a good premium. Now here we're on Himmelsdorf. This one is a tier 6 match. And my heart sank slightly because, oh great, tier 6, this is going to be, you have to work hard in this one. And, you know, you can side scrape in the Matilda, it's got good side armour. Now, it is, you see the problem with it is the turret is quite far forward on it, so when you're side scraping you have to come out at quite an angle to basically keep the front of your tank hidden sometimes because the turret is quite far forward. So it is one that I would practice reverse side scraping in, with it being a low tier one, possibly, you know, maybe even practice more in the Tech Tree one in tier 4 matches, but reverse up to the wall and do it that way. I don't do any of that in this match because it was sort of more towards the end I was thinking about it. But yeah, I mean the welcome, you know, the extra speed, the extra acceleration is welcome. But I just think that both of them, actually, both of these Dunkirk tanks are possibly a little bit overpriced. And I know that they say that it's to account for the perma camo, but I don't know. I mean, the cheapest one its own is about 2,600, 2,700 gold. That's very expensive. That's very expensive for any tier 5 premium. Never mind, you know, never mind a Matilda sort of thing. And the Vindicator is, I think the cheapest one's about 12,500 gold when it comes out, which again is very expensive for a tier 8. You know, especially, you know, sort of a glass cannon such as that. with the 20-pounder. You know, again, I don't know if it's a good tank, bad tank or what. I've not really formed much of an opinion on it, or the Charioteer in general. But back to this match. I've managed to get it one penning hit on something. I think it was that ARL as it went past. And now I'm up against a Tech Tree Matilda from the enemy team, the Tier 4 version. And, you know, we are the same tank, although I do have that extra bit of acceleration over him. So I suppose if we got into a chase, I would come out best. Now I tried to divert a bit of attention to that 3000, whatever it was, the German heavy, I can't even remember now. I had a complete brain fart. Because I am still trying to get kills in British vehicles. But somebody else took him out and I managed to take out the Matilda. And I was trying to angle against him, but you saw he was hit, you know, he hit my tracks and he was damaging at that point. Until I pulled forwards a little bit more. Now there's a KV-1 down at the end of the street. I want to be quite wary of that. And the Arl as well. I don't really want to come up against that French heavy because he could make a mess of me quite quickly. I'm just trying to get some sneaky hits on this KV-1 and I don't think it's going to happen. No, and I'm not really expecting it to. It's just sort of, I don't want to expose my tank too much to him, so I'm just going to take what I can. But there was a TD that went up the other side of the map towards our cap, and he is now sat in our cap. So I've got to try and back off. I did see a medium further down here. There he is. I think it's an easy 8, is it? But I just backed off. I knew that the KV-1 is not going to have a great view range because they don't. So I waited until I dropped off and then I could cross that street and try and get back to cap and hopefully reset it. And I don't want to give too much away, but it is quite, you know, it's quite a funny little couple of minutes now. Coming up, or I thought it was quite amusing anyway. Hopefully you'll think it was just as amusing as I did. So an M3 runs into cap. There's the TD. He was on very low health, so one shot was all it took. And the M3 Lee, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if he hasn't seen me, or he's just, well, obviously I'm on his radar, but God knows what happened then. It was almost like he was driving around in a blind panic. But I managed to take him down anyway, and well, I wasn't quite sure what to do. I was going to head over that way, see if I could back up those guys on that side of the map, try and stick together at this point. And then that light tank popped out behind me. I'd seen him coming on the radar just as he popped up and I'd started turning, but obviously I couldn't quite turn quick enough, so I'll go around the corner to have a go at him, and there's an easy 8 there. And I really didn't expect him. I went for an auto lock, expecting it to be this light tank. And yeah, just gave the easy 8 a bit of a surprise, but that did make me laugh. Now, that was quite lucky that I got a bit of a mercy roll there, and then Artie just missed, and I am left on very low health. I am getting myself Artie safe. And I'm going to see what's left, and it's a couple of KV-85s. Awesome. That's going to be fun. I really hope I don't run into them. Now I'm going to see if I can get down to the other end of the map and take out Artie. However, as you can see, one of them's been taken out. There's 2 of our tanks going into the enemy cap, and the other Artie has just gone down, but there are still those 2 pesky KV-85s. We are now capping, and I consider going down towards cap to try and cap with them. But then I have the thought that I'm on very low health, and if those KV-85s show up, I've got a feeling they're going to take me out. But then one of them pops up on the map. And then the other one pops up on the map, and I was just seeing how much health they were on. We've got a heavy tank in our cap, and this is where I just had to basically potter around a little bit and don't do anything for the rest of the game. I was considering trying to sneak up behind one of the KV-85s, but 2 of them, I don't fancy my chances there. So I decided to head towards the enemy cap to try and help our team cap out, and it's pretty futile at this point because there's no way I'm going to get there before we actually cap out. But I'm just keeping an eye on the other side of the square because it looked like one of those KV-85s was going to head down this way. But that's it. No more damage for me, and that's the match. And it was another, well, quite a fun little victory as well. came out of it with just over 1,000 damage done. And don't worry, I didn't have 2 daily doubles. I think the last one was a daily double, wasn't it? But that was yesterday, and this one was today. But I did get a first class mastery and a defender medal as well. So there you go. That's the Defiance Matilda 4. Like I say, there's not much I can say about it really. It's a Matilda at tier 5 with a slightly bigger engine. And that's about it. There's not much else there. So I don't know. Like I say, it's not one that I'm going to buy. I do think it should have been left at tier 4 with standard matchmaking. I do think it's a bit expensive, so it's one that I'm going to be skipping on by. But here's a couple more result screens for you, just to show that it's not all sunshine and roses, and I did have some pretty damn crappy games in it. So yeah, you know, when you just sort of get seen by a couple of tier 5s, few shots, bang, dead. But there you go. Hope you've enjoyed it. I shall be back tomorrow with another episode. Not sure what it is yet, but until then, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.